भारतं विद्यायां रतं। तत्र भा इत्युक्ते ज्ञानं। ज्ञाने रतम् इदं राष्ट्रं। राष्ट्रस्य उत्सवः तस्य वैशिष्ट्येन भवति। अस्य राष्ट्रस्य वैशिष्ट्यं ज्ञानमात्रं, विद्यामात्रम्। अतः वयं विद्योपासकाः। अत एव अद्य विद्यारम्भदिने अस्माभिः भगवत्याः सरस्वत्याः संस्कृतसरस्वत्याः पूजनं क्रियते। अद्य संस्कृतोत्सवः अस्माभिराचर्यते। परसहस्रवर्षेभ्यः पूर्वमेव अस्माकं ऋषिभिः येयं विश्ववारा संस्कृतिः कल्पिता, तस्याः संस्कृतेः यत् प्रवाहपात्रं तत् संस्कृतं। यदि नद्याः किञ्चित् पात्रं न भवति, सुस्थिरं पात्रं न स्यात्, तर्हि नदी सम्यक् न प्रवहति। भारतीयसंस्कृतेः प्राचीननद्याः सरस्वत्याः इदं संस्कृतं पात्रं। तस्मिन् पात्रे भारतीयसंस्कृतिरूपा नदी निरन्तरं प्रवहति। अद्य भाषा अस्माकं दौर्भाग्यवशात् विभेदाय कल्पिता। भाषा न विवादाय अपितु संवादाय। भाषा न विभेदाय अपितु बन्धाय। अद्य रक्षाबन्धनं क्रियते अस्माभिः। भ्रातृभावः अद्य उपस्थाप्यते। अद्यैव भ्रातृभावार्थं बन्धनाय भाषोत्सवः क्रियते, न तु विभेदाय भाषोत्सवः क्रियते। अतः विशिष्य अस्मिन् राज्ये यत्र भवादृशाः प्राज्ञाः उपासकाः यस्मिन् राज्ये अस्माकं राज्यपालसदृशाः महान्तः राजभवने विराजन्ते, तस्मिन् राज्ये अयम् उत्सवः सार्थकः इति अहं मन्ये। अयं भारतीयभाषा परिवारोत्सवः न केवलं संस्कृतस्य उत्सवः, न केवलं संस्कृतस्य उत्सवः। यथा गृहे मातुः यदि जन्मदिनोत्सवः भवति, न केवलम् एकस्याः मातुः जन्मदिनोत्सवः भवति, समग्रस्य परिवारस्य उत्सवः भवति। तथा अद्य संस्कृतदिनोत्सवो नाम समग्रभारतीयभाषाणाम् उत्सवदिनमिति वयं चिन्तयामः। भारतीयभाषापरिवारस्य अयम् उत्सवः। वस्तुतस्तु अद्य किञ्चित् उल्लेखनीयं। प्राचीनभारतस्य इमां संस्कृतिं यदि पश्यामः, विशिष्य उत्तरदेशे काशीविद्वत्परम्परा, यां संस्कृतिम् आश्रित्य, यां वेदपरम्पराम् आश्रित्य काशीविद्वत्परम्परा प्रवर्तिता, याञ्च वैदिकीं संस्कृतिम् आश्रित्य काञ्चीविद्वत्परम्परा प्रवर्तिता, अनयोः विद्वत्परम्परयोः यद्वैशिष्ट्यं तन्मूलमस्ति, तन्मूलम् एकमेव अस्ति। यन्मूलं तदेकमेव। यथा सन्मूला हिमाः प्रजाः इति उच्यन्ते, तथैव संस्कृतमूलाः इमाः विद्याः भवन्ति। अतः प्राचीनभारतस्य या कापि संस्कृतिधारा भवतु, तस्याः मूलं तावत् एकमेव अस्ति। तन्मूलम् अस्माभिराश्रयणीयं। तत्रापि विशिष्य अस्माकं प्राचीनाः ऋषयः ते तु न केवलं त्रिकालज्ञानिनः, ते कथं पश्यन्ति, तत्र यं दिव्यप्रबन्धादिकं यञ्च शैवप्रबन्धादिकं वयं लोकभाषया रचितमिति चिन्तयामः, ते सर्वे प्रबन्धाः वेदतुल्याः इति वेदतातैः कैः स्वीकृता? संस्कृतज्ञैः वैदिकैः ऋषिभिः लोकभाषया रचिताः सर्वेपि प्रबन्धाः वेदत्वेन स्वीकृताः। तेपि लोकवेदाः, तमिळुवेदाः इत्येव तेषां नामकरणं कृतम्। अतः वेदेषु कोऽपि भेदः न कृतः। यथा प्राचीनकाले अयम् उदारभावः उदारचरितानां तु वसुधैव कुटुम्बकमिति उदारभावः अस्माकं ऋषीणां भवति स्म। तथैव अस्मिन् क्षेत्रे तिरुक्कुरळ् इत्यादि ग्रन्थानामपि लोकोत्तर स्वीकार्यता वर्तते, लोकोत्तर उपादेयता वर्तते। तस्मात् अयं विभेदः अस्माकं राष्ट्रस्य अखण्डस्य राष्ट्रस्य सूत्रबन्धनं यदि करणीयम् अद्य रक्षासूत्रबन्धनं करणीयं। संस्कृतसूत्रं स्वीकृत्य तमिळ्सूत्रं स्वीकृत्य संस्कृत-तमिळ्सूत्रद्वारा अद्य रक्षाबन्धनं करणीयम् इति हेतोः अयं संस्कृतोत्सवः अत्र क्रियते। अत्र राष्ट्रस्तरे संस्कृतभारतीद्वारा विश्वस्तरे 100 राष्ट्रेषु अस्माकं कार्यकर्तारः कार्यं कुर्वन्ति। न केवलं तत्र दक्षिणदेशस्य केषुचित् राष्ट्रेषु, भारतस्य सर्वेषु राज्येषु 600 स्थानेषु संस्कृतभारत्याः कार्यकर्तारः संस्कृतपरिवारान् निर्मितवन्तः। वयं संस्कृतपरिवारजनाः। केवलम् 1, 2, 3, 5 जनाः संस्कृते न भाषन्ते, अपि तु वीथ्याम्, आपणे, कार्पोरेट् विद्यालयेषु, कार्पोरेट् संस्थासु, बैंक संस्थासु, मन्त्रालयेषु सर्वत्र किमुत राजभवनेपि संस्कृतम् अस्ति इति प्रतिपादयितुं संस्कृतस्य कार्यकर्तारः अद्य उत्सुकाः। विश्वस्य शताधिकराष्ट्रेषु अस्मिन् राजभवने संस्कृतस्य आचर्यमाणस्य संस्कृतोत्सवस्य दर्शकाः सन्ति। ते उत्साहेन पश्यन्तः सन्ति। अतः इयं भाषा वैश्विकी भाषा। भारतीयाः सर्वापि भाषाः राष्ट्रभाषाः। भारतीयाः मम मातृभाषा तमिळु, मम मातृभाषा कन्नडं, परन्तु भारतीयाः सर्वाः भाषाः अपि मम मातृभाषाः, अस्माकं मातृभाषाः। भारतीयाः सर्वापि भाषाः राष्ट्रभाषाः, परन्तु एतासां मातृभाषाणां राष्ट्रभाषाणामपि अखण्डरूपा, समन्वयरूपा एका विश्वभाषा काचित् वर्तते, सा संस्कृतभाषा। अद्य संस्कृतभारतीद्वारा समग्रस्य विश्वस्य अखण्डतायै, विश्वकल्याणाय यदिदं चिन्तनं कृतम्, अद्य अस्माभिः सांस्कृतिकं राष्ट्रं धर्तव्यं। राष्ट्रं धारयतां ध्रुवम् इत्यत्र सांस्कृतिकं राष्ट्रं धर्तव्यम्। अस्माकं देशस्य काचित् सीमा वर्तते, परन्तु दैशिकी सीमा दृश्यते, परन्तु सांस्कृतिकराष्ट्रस्य, सांस्कृतिकभारतस्य कापि सीमा नास्ति। अतएव विश्ववारा इयं संस्कृतिः। तादृशस्य वैश्विकस्य भारतस्य धर्ता, तद्धारकं तत्त्वं किमस्ति इत्युक्ते तत् संस्कृतं। संस्कृते एतत् सर्वं निहितमस्ति इत्यतः वयं संस्कृतस्य उपासकाः। अद्य तमिळुनाडुराज्यस्य राजभवने अस्माकं राज्यपालानां सम्मुखम् अयम् उत्सवः चलति इति तेषां कृते, सर्वेषां कृते अहम् अभिनन्दनानि वितरामि। एकमेव अंशम् उक्त्वा अहं विरवामि। संस्कृतम् अधुना अनुवादद्वारा अस्माकं संस्कृतं जनाः अवगच्छन्ति। Many people understand Sanskrit through its translation. People say, I am also reading Ramayana, I am reading Mahabharata, I am reading Gita. But they are reading Gita reflections. They are reading Gita reflections, not the Gita. ते संस्कृतगन्धवाः, गन्धमात्रम् आस्वादयितुं शक्नुवन्ति। संस्कृतस्य गन्धमात्रं स्वीकर्तुं शक्नुवन्ति अनुवादद्वारा, ट्रान्स्लेशन् मुखेन। परन्तु आम्रफलस्य रुचिः गृहीतव्या चेत्, if you want to enjoy the taste of mango, just smell is not enough. You have to taste it. यदि संस्कृतस्य कण्ठे मुखे संस्कृतं संस्थाप्य रुचिम् आस्वादयन्ति चेत् तर्हि तस्य आम्रफलस्य सम्पूर्णं रसास्वादः कृतः इव। अन्यथा केवलं संस्कृतगन्धम्, आम्रफलगन्धं स्वीकृत्य वयं निर्गताः भवेम। संस्कृतभारतीद्वारा इदमेव कार्यं क्रियते। वयं केवलं संस्कृतगन्धवाहः न स्मः, अपि तु संस्कृत आस्वादकाः स्मः। अतः कण्ठे मुखे संस्कृतं सम्पाद्य वयम् अग्रे गच्छामः। हे संस्कृतबान्धवाः, अधुना भारतीयभाषाणां स्थितिः अत्यन्तं कठिनतमा वर्तते। आङ्ग्लमोहनास्त्रेण मोहिताः सर्वेपि कपयः यदा सञ्जाताः, तदा जाम्बवतस्य विधे केनचित् पृष्टं कथम् एतेषां कपीनाम् उद्धरणं जाम्बवान् कथयति किं हनुमान् जीवति हनुमान् जीवति चेत् सर्वे जीविताः किं संस्कृतं जीवति सर्वाः भाषाः जीविताः धन्यवादः
Thank you, sir. We now humbly request the Honorable Governor to felicitate the eminent scholars. The Honorable Governor will now felicitate Shri D. Gnanasundaram. True to his name, Professor D. Gnanasundaram, a highly acclaimed scholar in Tamil, an academician and an orator. He is the first professor of the Kamban Chair Central University, Puducherry, extensively researched in Vaishnava literature and has rendered several palm leaf writings into books. The Honorable Governor is felicitating Shri D. Gnanasundaram. The Honorable Governor is presenting a memento and a shawl to Shri D. Gnanasundaram. The Honorable Governor will now felicitate Dr. C. L. Ramakrishnan, IPS retired. Dr. C. L. Ramakrishnan is a retired Director General of Police, Tamil Nadu. He served in the Central Bureau of Investigation in the Central Industrial Security Force. Noted for the integrite, was the recipient of President's Medal twice for meritorious service, is now being felicitated by the Honorable Governor with a shawl and a memento amidst your good round of applause. Thank you. The Honorable Governor will now felicitate Dr. M. D. Srinivas. Dr. M. D. Srinivas is the chairman of the Center of Policy Studies, Chennai, member of the ICHR, a physicist, a Sanskrit scholar and an author. He is very keen that the Indian scientific and technological tradition should form an integral part of the study and research in the institutes of higher learning, is now being felicitated by the Honorable Governor. Ladies and gentlemen, the Honorable Governor will now felicitate Dr. V. Kameshwari. Dr. V. Kameshwari, the former director of Kupaswamy Shastri Research Institute, Chennai, is a reputed scholar in Sanskrit and an ardent researcher with more than 3 decades of experience in teaching and research. The Honorable Governor is felicitating Dr. V. Kameshwari. Thank you, sir. The Honorable Governor will now felicitate Sampradaya Selvi Dr. Selvishri Pillai Narasimha. The youngest to be awarded the doctoral degree in the Department of Vaishnavism, University of Madras, and the youngest recipient of Samudaya Nalinaka Virudu by Dr. Hegdevar Samraka Samiti Chetpattu for the year 2024, is now being felicitated by the Honorable Governor. Thank you, sir. We have the most elderly people, the great legends, great scholars. They are 97 and 99 years old. The Honorable Governor is coming downstage to felicitate Thiru R. Krishnamurti Shastrigal, Mahodhyaya Vedabhashya Ratna. Thiru R. Krishnamurti Shastrigal is the recipient of the Rashtrapati Award in 2013 for his lifetime contribution to Sanskrit, is now being felicitated by the Honorable Governor with a shawl and a memento. Thank you, sir. The Honorable Governor will now felicitate Tiruti Srinivasacharya Asthana Vidwan Vaishnava Agama Ratna. Tiruti Srinivasacharya, 99 years young. Prime Minister Modi ji in his 72 edition Man Ki Baat in 2020 stated that a scholar's life proves Till the time there is curiosity, is now being felicitated by the Honorable Governor. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much, sir. Not just a speech, even the dignitaries' applause echoes Sanskrit, the rhythm of Sanskrit in this Bharatiyar Mandapam. We now humbly request the Honorable Governor to address the gathering.
I'm going to be the odd man out. Because I wish I could speak in Sanskrit, though I followed every word that was spoken. And I think Sanskrit Bharati should take effort to teach me conversational Sanskrit. Respected Professor Srinivas Varkhedi, Vice Chancellor, Central Sanskrit University, New Delhi. Dr. D. Jayadev, President, Sanskrit Bharati, North Tamil Nadu. Tirumati Amita Prithvi, General Secretary, Sanskrit Bharati, North Tamil Nadu. Dr. R. Ramachandran, Program Coordinator, Sanskrit Bharati. All the distinguished acharyas present here, all the distinguished invitees, ladies and gentlemen, on the occasion of Sanskrit Divasa and Raksha Bandhan Dinam, I extend my warmest greetings and best wishes to all of you. My special pranam to senior acharyas whom I had the privilege to felicitate and bigger privilege to have received their blessings. In your presence, we all feel very happy and honored. This Sanskrit Divas we are celebrating for last over 55 years, right from 69. And Sanskrit Bharati has taken a lot of effort, and I must congratulate, I must appreciate and congratulate for their good works they are doing. And all the Sanskrit Acharya, the professors, the students, those who are learning Sanskrit, you are doing a great service to the nation. Long back, several thousands years back, we don't know how many thousand years, but at least more than 5,000 years back, our divine rishis, they gave two most beautiful gifts to the humanity. Two most beautiful gifts to the humanity. Gift one is a darshan. I'm not using the word philosophy because philosophy is not equivalent to darshan, and you all Acharya know it better than I do. So one darshan, that entire srishti, entire creation is one kudumbam, one family, because The Creator is present in every element of the creation. The same Creator is present in every element of creation. The diversity that we see, diversity in species, humans, animals, plants, diversity that we see in other ways which we can notice. These are apparent diversity. These are essentially the interplay of Purusha and Prakriti that gives all these numerable, countless variations. Essentially, it is one and the same. People with a different thought process, experiencing and explaining in their own way, giving rise to numerous sampradayas. Again, our rishis explained it by saying that a truth has multiple, numerous perspectives. It depends on where you are located, how you look at it. The same thing will look differently if your position changes. So it is when he said, Ekam sada vipra baudha vadanti, his truth is one, but we speak because we perceive it differently. But it doesn't change the truth. The truth is one, that this entire Srishti is a creation, is a one family. We experience it in our own way, and so we express it in our own way. In fact, the rishis went to the extent of saying, when they created this Anekantvad, that there cannot be only one and the only perspective. Anekant, not ek, anek. This brought in this revolutionary thought, revolutionary darshan. It embraced the entire diversity. You can be of any language, you can speak any dress, your food habit can be anything, you can look in your own way. But we are all one family. This unique darshan was the first gift or the most beautiful gift our rishis gave us. And the second most beautiful gift is, they gave us a language to spread this darshan, this light. Because this jnana is to be conveyed, is to be spread. And for that you need a language. And since this darshan is so powerful, all-inclusive, imagine, no darshan in the world, nothing can be as universal as this one. Now this powerful darshan, to be expressed, to be conveyed, to be spread, it needed a very, very powerful language. And then they created this language, Sanskrit. So this light and the language. Light is the darshan, that we are all one, and the language is Sanskrit. Together, they took on the mission and spread it over a landmass, large landmass. extending from Gandhar, which is today's Peshawar. After Arab invasion, it became Islamized and became other. It was Gandhar to Brahmadesh, what we call Burma today. And Kashmir to Kanyakumari, this light is spread. And this Rashtra Bharat was born. So, Sanskrit is a Janani of this Bharat Rashtra. These together, this darshan and this bhasha, together they have created this great Rashtra called Bharat. Now, for a very long time, for several thousand years, Bharat prospered because this darshan prospered and this bhasha prospered. Because Sanskrit, we should also realize Sanskrit is not mere a bhasha, a language. Sanskrit is a sanskar. It teaches you a dharmic way of life. How you live in your personal life, in your family life, in your social life. How you treat yourself, how you treat your elders, how you treat your youngers, how you treat everyone, how you treat even the environment. So this is far beyond a language. It is a language which gives you sanskar, that it teaches you a way of living, a dharmic way of living. And that is how, in the whole of this Bharat, we have so much of diversity. But swabhav, at the level of swabhav, at the nature, you will find there is no difference between people from one part and the other. They will speak different language, it's okay. Their food habit would be different, could be. But all over, swabhav is the same. You go to a house in Assam, they will not let you go without eating food or giving you a glass of water. And come any part of the Bharat, same thing here. Now this, what we call culture, or call it civilization. Because now, the English word culture also has created a lot of problems, because culture we have started saying as dance and drama. Okay, dance and drama are important, there's no doubt about it. But a spirit of culture is what comes out of sanskar of a people. And that sanskar came from this language, Sanskrit Bhasha. We know that for about 1,000 years ago, when invasion happened in the past also. But these invasions were of a different kind. Earlier invasions were fight between the kings. Kings came, they were defeated, sometimes they lost, sometimes they won. But many times, invariably, when they came, and even when they won, they became of this place. They got assimilated. They became Bharatiya. I often quote one example which is worth repeating, which I often say about the 2nd century BC. 2nd century BC, when the Bactrian king Menander invaded Bharat from the northwest, he captured Kashmir. At the time, Kashmir was essentially, people of Kashmir were observing or following Bauddha Sampradaya. He captured, he won, he defeated the local king. And he was very curious to know what is Bauddha Sampradaya. People today in English, they will call it Buddhism. What is Bauddha Sampradaya? So at the time, the greatest acharya of Buddhist darshan was Nagasena. He called Nagasena, he wanted him to explain. And Menander kept asking questions, Nagasena kept replying, and it went on for several months. At the end of it, Menander became Buddhist, he became Milind. And the conversation between the two became the canonical text of Buddhism, Milindapana, Prashna, questions of Milind. So this was the trend and tradition prior to about 1,000 years ago. Okay. So Bharat won. Bharat is not just a land. Bharat is a darshan. Bharat is a sanskar. Bharat is a civilization. That won. But what happened since for the last about 1,000 years, when the invaders came, they came with a preconceived dogmatic ideology that my way is the only way. Imagine, here we have been saying, Anekandvad, Ekam Satavat Vipra Bauddha Vadanti. And you say, no, my God is the only God. And the way I worship is the only way to worship is, otherwise you have no place. Now that was just opposite of Bharatiya Darshan, Bharatiya Sanskar. And that is how the conflict began. And in that, what those invaders did, they started systematically damaging, destroying both the Darshan and the Bhasha both. Both of these suffered enormous damage. Darshan, we all say, it is indestructible, it is sanatana, it cannot be destroyed. But it was weakened. Sanskar among the people, darshan in abstract is one thing. But Bharat was born out of the darshan being lived by the people, every citizen of Bharat in day-to-day life. So that sanskar was because institutions suffered, they were destroyed. Sanskar also declined. And that led to the decline of the dharma also. There came a time, during the time of Aurangzeb, he was so begotten. Millions and millions of people were killed. Persian became the language, official language. Persian script. And a language which was emerging, developing true to the character of Bharat, because when somebody came from outside, we also started, their language, synthesis of the language also began. So Urdu language was developing out of the language of people who came from outside and the local language of the seat of power, which was Delhi and around. But what Aurangzeb did, he started doing linguistic genocide also, and he started bringing expressions from Persian language. Persian, replacing these Sanskrit expressions. And that was the worst period, where Bhasha and Darshan both suffered and suffered very badly. Then came the British. They did their own, they had their own way. They systematically closed, and they brought in a language which actually enslaved the whole country, especially the educated class, in a way that was far more dangerous. The English language they brought. They systematically destroyed the institutions of learning Sanskrit. The places, the institutions that held this, propagated the darshan and taught the bhashas. where is centers of learning, ancient centers of learning, Gurukula and all. We had temples, we had tirthams. They were all systematically destroyed. And English became the lingua franca, the language. Before English came, when Adi Shankaracharya moved from here and he went all the way, how did he communicate? When here in the 1500 years ago, then Pallava prince went to Nalanda, how did he communicate? It was Sanskrit. In the 4th century, from Gandhar, Vasubandhu came to Nalanda to study and then became a teacher. Gandhar is Peshawar. How? Sanskrit was the lingua franca. Sanskrit was, it might or might not have been spoken by the general mass as such. But if you go to the Hindi area, we say that a large number of people of India speaks Hindi, good number of. That is wrong. If you go, people who speak their own dialect. They can understand Hindi a bit, but it's not that they speak Hindi. Hindi as such is not the language spoken by many people. No, it's not, it's a myth. So we have various languages. So many. Similarly, we had so many languages, but Sanskrit was one which was a language of communication between people of different region, different linguistic groups, or all diversities. Instead of that, English became. And English became because they started giving jobs, so students started learning. And we have all seen, there was a book published by one institution here, how here in Madras Presidency, English was made compulsory, that nobody can learn any other language. You have to study in the education institutions. And that colonized the mind. That came the thought process. And it did all the damage. Unfortunately, even after independence, we continued neglecting both, the darshan as well as bhasha both. Both of them, they suffered enormously for nearly 6.5 decades after independence. We kept systematically trying to weaken both the darshan, what is Sanatan darshan, that we are all one, and bhasha, which is Sanskrit bhasha. It was looked down upon as Sanskrit. It is as if it became a mark of backwardness. English is speaking? Oh, great. English is speaking. No, that's how it. So it practically, it killed our sense of pride, sense of selfhood. And it has still killed. It's not that we are out of it. No. There is a large number of people who are still a great devotee of English and English thought process. So if you know English, there's no problem. One should know. But you should know as many languages as possible. But the thought process, which is not aligned with Bharatiya thought process, Chintan Paddhati. And hence, to recover, to regenerate Bharat, we need to again reinvigorate the bhasha, that is Sanskrit. And that's the only way that this darshan can also spread. And this is a very powerful language, very, very powerful language. I do not know. I'm not a linguist, but I have heard linguists, even European linguists, talking about it, that Sanskrit is the most scientific language. Look at this. When the great rishis, when they wrote or they spoke Vedas, our Veda, they knew that the bhasha has to be structured. Bhasha had to be so powerful. And powerful means it has to be powerful not only in just writing, but its whole expression. So they created Vedanga, Sorry, I am speaking in front of Acharya. I am nobody to speak about that, but certainly I would like to mention for the last. Vedanta. How to pronounce Shiksha. How to recite Chanda. Every word has an origin, etymology, nirukta, and then a structure of syntax and compositions, which is Vyakarana. All became Vedanga, Ang of Veda. Veda is incomplete without Vedanga, because it is incomplete without the Bhasha. This has to be re-energized. Now today, in today's context, while we need and we must re-energize Sanskrit, we also must realize or appreciate the contemporary realities. That it is not just, we know today the world is facing a lot of challenge. You know, science today is the latest advances in science which is happening, be it artificial intelligence, be it nanoscience. We are getting into that part where physics is becoming, has already entered metaphysics. Distinction between matter and energy is blurred today. You know, the nano, we all hear about nanotechnology. It is 1 into 10 to the power minus 9. Imagine how small. But this is not enough. People are breaking the frontier further, going to the pico, 1 into 10 to the power minus 12. Means nano multiplied 3 times by itself. How? Going to D, smaller. At that point, the scientists, engineers, technologists are getting confused how to explain it. They are trying to explain in the language which is not equipped. Swami Vivekananda had mentioned about the certain threats to Bharat, and one of the threat was European Buddhivad, intellectualism. They try to understand everything through reason, through logic. In our Shastra, we know that logic can be misleading. Logic is not necessarily the way to truth. So they are trying to explain all these. Now you hear in this, I have been, as a student of developing sciences, I have been closely pursuing the development of generative artificial intelligence. Now they are talking about singularity. Singularity means the next 10 years, machines of course will become, they say, super intelligent more than the humans, but the distinction between human and machine will vanish. And the way they are moving, intelligent machine which can converse with you, which can also crack joke with you, can empathize with you, all those things. They are trying to explain these things in the language which is inadequate. I think here comes the role of our language, because the wisdom that we have can be expressed in this language. They are still, when I think of this, I only feel that they are still at the struggling at Vijnana Kosha. We have a Panch Kosha, we have a third, no? This Anna Kosha, Prana Kosha, Manomaya Kosha, Vijnana Kosha, Ananda Kosha, and beyond. They are still at Vijnana Kosha. Vijnana Kosha is not at the end of it. They cannot explain the whole thing in that. Now they have to be shown a direction. Otherwise, we have a big challenge. Because the way all the big companies like Alphabet, which carries the Googles, Apple, Amazon, Microsoft, the way they are coming up with new advanced technologies, they are incapable of understanding. They say they are creating consciousness. Imagine. They believe that the mind is consciousness. We know that mind is not consciousness. Only here, only in this darshan and this bhasha, we know mind is not consciousness, is beyond that. Now, I would urge Sanskrit Bharati and all this acharya to think of this. Time is running out. Because the way this change is happening, it will overwhelm us. There's no point in keeping the knowledge in the bookshelf and saying that we are great. We have to be updated. There has to, in fact, I would like Sanskrit Bharati to or some such institution to negotiate and have MOU with IIT. IIT should have Sanskrit discipline. They should teach Sanskrit. And we need multi-language expert. We need Sanskrit scholar is not just Sanskrit scholar. We need Sanskrit scholar who should also be at least one another Bharatiya language scholar and even English scholar. We need this triple language scholars today to meet the need of the time. It is not enough to be just Acharya in the Sanskrit. No, it is not. We have to. And this challenge we must appreciate the gravity of it, because I am sure many of us are not even aware of what is going to happen in the next 5 to 6 years. The technology is moving so fast and they are creating things. We have seen what was 10 years, you were not there. What you are doing now, it was not in 10 years back. But what is happening, going to happen in the next 10 years will be far more radical. Now they need direction. They need explanation, because they are convincing the people that this is how consciousness is, and that is going to be destructive. When like nuclear weapon, this is going to be destructive, maybe worse than that. I think we need to think about it, that taking Sanskrit to a next level where we are having interface with the modern science and technology, and trying to understand, because so long it was a physics, so long it was bhautik, it was fine, but it has gone to parabhautik. And in the parabhautik, English is not the language. No European language is competent. It is only Sanskrit which can do it. So you must realize it. I'm sure, I wish there's Sanskrit Bharati all the very best in your endeavor. And I am once again thankful to all of you for making it happen, for your presence. Thank you very much. Jai Bharat, Jai Sanskrit.
Thank you, sir. We now welcome Tirumati Amita Prithvi, General Secretary, Samskrita Bharati, North Tamil Nadu, for proposing the words of thanks.
नमस्सर्वेभ्यः मुख्य अतिथये परम आदरणीयाय राज्यपालाय श्रीमते आर्.एन्. रविमहाभागाय सम्माननीयाय कुलपते श्रीनिवास वर्केडि महोदयाय सभायां विराजमानेभ्यः प्रमुखेभ्यः संस्कृत अभिभक्तेभ्यश्च संस्कृतदिनस्य शुभकामनाः सर्वेभ्यः मम हार्दिकम् अभिनन्दनं निवेदयामि च। अद्य समग्रस्य अस्माकं संस्कृतभारती परिवारस्य अभूतपूर्वं दिनमस्ति यत् श्रावणपूर्णिमायां संस्कृतदिने अस्मिन् वयं राजभवने संस्कृतोत्सवम् आचरामः विशेषतया इति। एतस्य संस्कृतोत्सवस्य आधारभूताय सत्कारकर्त्रे राज्यपालवर्याय अस्माकं सादरप्रणमाः समर्पयन्ति। तस्य महत्त्वपूर्णाः निमेषाः भाषणाय अस्मभ्यं प्रदत्ताः इति वयं धन्याः स्मः। संस्कृतस्य वैभवम् अद्य इदानीन्तन वर्तमानकाले संस्कृतस्य मुख्यत्वम् अस्मान् उक्त्वा प्रचोदितवान् अस्ति महोदयः। संस्कृतभारती